Okay, so we have been talking about NaCCRA to a great extent, and this is, I have to say, Jack's baby. He is a brilliant gentleman who can do all things that you didn't know you could do as an individual. And he is our current secretary and research director. And before he begins his thing, when I first heard of NaCCRA, I thought, what is it? What will it do? What can it do? And it's all the things that we need to know, from our bylaws to interesting articles and all kinds of great information. But half and three-quarters of the people have not a clue about NaCCRA, which is on it's close. It's on a website. So I said to Jack, please present NaCCRA 101 for us all who are uninitiated into the wonder of this particular vehicle. So, and Jack has been so gracious, and he shares a lot of the information. So all of this meeting has been filmed, and all of it will be available to us if you just go on to NaCCRA website.
Thank you, Ruth. It's going to take a second here just to boot up the computer. And I'll just take a moment here to express the fact that I understand that we have a couple of generations, at least two that I can think of, but maybe more layers of residents living today in CCRCs. Is that coming up? Good. And the result of that is that many people retired before the computer revolution of the 1990s. So they were not used to having computers in their workplaces, in their homes, personal computers, before the time that they retired, and they've come in, and they sometimes find it a little overwhelming. I'm always surprised, though, how many residents have mastered the intricacies of the internet and are able to use it in one way or another, email being the most common starting point. But more and more people are getting involved. Let me get rid of all this junk here in front of you. I'd also like to say I'm honored here, and I think that with two guests who just joined us, one just left the room, but anyway, my son, Joseph, and his wife have come here to hear their father talk, or his father talk, and her father-in-law. And unfortunately, I'm not going to do much of that. That may be a relief to all of you. But before we got here, we were hearing that there were difficulties with internet access here at Stonebridge. So rather than risk the fact that I might be trying to show you something that's on the internet and not have internet access, I prepared a little video. And because the video now exists, you can also access the video on the website. And it's available on two websites. We may be a little bit confusingly, but NaCCRA has two websites. One is our administrative website, which you all know is NaCCRA.com. You'll find the lifeline and the leadership report, the different things available on that. And then separately, we've developed an education and research website, which includes a great deal of material, much of it in video form, because older people sometimes find it easier to get it in video form, and that's called NaCCRA U. And the U is a bit of a pretension. But anyway, with that, let me give you this introduction here to NaCCRA U. This is an introduction to NaCCRA U. Now, the use of U, as in university, is a little presumptuous here, so we really call it the Residence Learning Center. But it's come to be affectionately known as NaCCRA U. On the screen before you, you see the opening page. You can reach this page by entering www.NaCCRAU, all one word, that's NaCCRAU.com. That U after NaCCRA is important if you want to reach NaCCRAU. Otherwise, you will just go to the administrative website, which looks like this. But don't be alarmed. If you go to the administrative website, there are ready links to the education and research website. For instance, clicking on Model Laws up here will take you to NaCCRAU. Or you can scroll down here to the bottom where it says Companion Educational Research and Learning website, and there's a link to NaCCRAU. There are several places. Even here is another link to NaCCRAU. So don't be worried. You can readily get to NaCCRAU from the NaCCRA website, or you can start directly on the home screen for NaCCRAU. The aim of this learning center is to serve as a learning resource for residents and others. Topics range from matters specific to continuing care retirement communities to subjects of general interest. The hope is to try to present alternative opinions and understandings so that residents can think for themselves and make up their own minds according to their own personal values. Understanding goes beyond advocacy, since understanding can lead to change by consensus without the strident activism that can be associated with partisan advocacy and the consequent petty bickering for advantage. We've all watched with dismay some of the bickering that's been taking place in Washington dealing with our central government. Understanding, however, is the fuel of human concord. The Learning Center seeks to illuminate all sides of issues and all alternatives so that informed people can make better choices. That's important. We want you to be able to make up your own mind, and we welcome knowing what you are thinking. We want to hear from you, and we want you to be engaged with NaCCRA in all aspects. Some of the material from the Learning Center is about CCRCs, and we'll come to that in a moment. But for now, let's start with some of the general learning material which is available. You may want to use this material for programs in your continuing care retirement community. If so, we can make DVDs available to you at cost. The best place to start is here with Topics for Learning. You reach this page by clicking on the Topics for Learning tab. Notice that there are 4 categories. If we now choose Our World, you can see that there's a drop-down box with a range of general education courses that are available to you. The one that has turned out to be the most interesting for most people is the program on China Today. In our CCRC, we combined this program about China Today with a DVD series on China's history from the teaching company. But since the teaching company material is copyrighted, it can't be included here on the website. The way we worked it was to have half-an-hour program on the history and half-an-hour program on China Today. But it was the China Today portion that proved far more interesting. And each one of the lessons in the China Today are roughly half an hour. So it fits very nicely into the context and patience
of CCRC residents. As you can see, there are many more materials on our world. The story of American freedom with Rufus J. Fears was also very popular at our CCRC. We then followed that with a teaching company series on America and the World, a Diplomatic History. In short, you can use these materials online for self-education, or you can use them with your fellow residents as a thought-provoking program for your continuing care retirement community, or you can combine them with other materials, say those from the teaching company, to create an engaging program for your community. I can assure you that if you take the initiative to get this started, the number of people coming will grow and grow. People have a lifelong interest in continuing to learn. There's much more here under the Our World category, and I think you'll find all of it of interest. Here, a discussion of the impacts of the 2010 healthcare legislation, all kinds of things that will interest you. The next category is Our Lives. That category depends on you to share your materials, so it's still in its infancy. For instance, Doug Ritchie is a CCRC resident. He wrote a book as a tribute to his love story over 60 years with his wife Annie. Here you can see a video of a program at which he introduced the book to the other residents. Let me show you just how these videos work. First, you click on this arrow up here. Then, if you come down here to this little funny little box, you can click that and it'll be full screen. And you can see how that goes. Look at how loving they are together.
Invited you to come for champagne, and the champagne is ready. And if you'd like to come back, just go on back and get a glass and sit down and relax, and then we'll get started.
So that gives you the idea of how the videos on the website can work, and there are many of them. We have community stories. We have here a story that you might also like, the story of how engineer Don Harvey intervened to help with the rescue of Apollo 13. He tells his story in a video, and he's also written articles about it, which you can access through the website. That story on our website caught the interest of Nippon Broadcasting Corporation in Japan, and they sent a team over to the United States to create a program on the saga and on Don's role in it. There's no telling what can happen when residents share the stories of their lives. We also have a section here on community activities, and you may want to contribute to that. The Our Health category is also in its infancy. I suppose NaCCRA in general is still early in its development. And we keep adding materials. That's part of the challenge that we have, is material adds. The website grows and grows in the resources that are available, and it becomes problematic to organize it so that people can readily find what they're looking for. But I think with this introduction, you'll be well on your way to getting started. And with time, we'll be able to put more time into reorganizing it and making it better and better. We know that many residents have an interest in health matters, so we're trying to develop materials to serve that interest. The Ask Your Doctor series has proven to be particularly popular, but I have also drawn much comfort from the materials on dementia. Incidentally, with the Ask Your Doctor series, the program on fluid in legs has drawn over 10,000 viewers. It's interesting what captures people's attention. Let's take a look here at the dementia period, because I think it's particularly interesting. I was fascinated by this dementia care case. And this is such a challenge and such a fear for so many of us that I drew considerable comfort from this. And I just want to give you the tone of how this goes along and how professional these people are in talking about it.
Okay, she has an MMSE of 13, which certainly puts her in that moderate range, early moderate range, or middle moderate range of dementia. Her husband mentioned that she's been having problems for 3 to 5 years, so that would sort of fit. So she's impaired in all cognitive dimensions. She's impaired in attention, her language is down, her visual spatial skills are rather poor, her long-term memory is very poor, her short-term memory is in the toilet, and she really doesn't have very much skill for any executive functioning. She doesn't have good potential to do procedural memory issues such as repetition and learning from very basic cues. She has some ability to do that, and so that would be something we might want to pursue. I think our best bet at this point, given her poor ability to remember and her poor cognitive capacities in general, is to do a lot of external things, to have external calendars, boards, have her husband reorient her to those sort of things so that she can have her day structured and provide some degree of satisfaction for her confusion. She's not falling. She was able to hear and see reasonably well. In fact, I, not very smartly, didn't have her put on her glasses for a couple things, and so she might have had some negative points because of that. But in
Well, maybe that's enough, but you get the sense of how sensitive this is and how informative it is and how the video format makes material accessible that might be difficult to absorb in an essay form, although we do have essays on here as well. Now that brings us to the part that you've been waiting for. CCRC Living concerns itself with a wealth of materials about CCRCs. How should a board conduct its work? You can find a discussion here. What are the limits for determining a fair compensation package for your CEO? You can find answers here. How are CCRCs regulated? You can find materials here. Here are laws from many states. Here's the Connecticut statutes and a study of how Connecticut compares with other states. The Senate inquiry, all sorts of materials are here, along with other materials relating to topics that will interest you, including Catherine Pearson's discussion of the Resident Bill of Rights that many of you may have seen. There's also a page on the Model Laws Project, and you can go directly to it here by going to Standards and Model Laws and then going to Catalog of Standards, and the model laws will pop up. They're all listed here. You can see Bob Nicholson here inspiring you to get involved. Down here at the bottom, we have Walt Boyer's very able elaboration on the model laws. There's a presentation and discussion of the different model laws. Some of the laws that may be a little difficult to grasp, you can find embedded links like right here to get further explanation. For example, if let's say we went down, you were interested to this one here that says conversion to enable resident ownership. We have a model conversion law, and we have here where you can click to get further explanation, and I'll show you how that works. You can see that the paper comes in, and you can get as much information on that as you might find helpful. So that's how that Model Laws site works. It's a very valuable program. We're hoping to get the National Association of Insurance Commissioners to work with us to help put this into law. And one of the protections that will particularly interest you is a protection that would provide that if the CCRC were to go become impaired, the residents would take priority rather than the debt holders. Right now, in the event of a CCRC impairment, the residents are at risk and the debt holders are protected by the residents' entrance fee investments. Finally, there is this section on NaCCRA News. You get to that here on the top bar by just clicking on NaCCRA News. NaCCRA is an open organization, and we encourage members and residents everywhere to be fully aware of our proceedings. All of that appears under the news heading. Recently, we've added materials on recent litigation as a holding place until we find a better place for it. You'll see here there's a link to Fair Housing Challenge for senior housing providers. There's the litigation from V. La Jolla in 2006. The Rogue Valley Manor cases, there are links here so that you can go and see the documents in that. And the newly developing V. Palo Alto litigation is also included here. Incidentally, the allegation at V. Palo Alto is that they calculate the monthly fees to cover the full costs of the operation as though it were a rental community, and they took the entrance fees and paid them out to the owners under the rubric of entrepreneurial profits. We'll see how that plays out as the litigation proceeds. Anyway, you can find links here to NaCCRA meetings. All of our board meetings are and their minutes are here. There's particularly interesting material here in the deliberations on bylaws and other matters which took place. This was 3 very intense meetings over an extended period, and it led to our strategic plan. What you're looking at here now is the strategic planning document, which we used as our starting point. We went over in extensive discussions in October 2012 and continued them in January 2013 and developed a comprehensive strategic planning plan for the organization, and that's been a big help in the governance of the organization. And we also include here the full discussion that led to the changes in the bylaws, and you can find a link to the bylaws right here so you can see exactly what the current bylaws of the organization are. You'll find the entire thing together with all matters of controversy. It's all here for you to follow to the full extent of your interest or lack thereof. Since for many people they're just not interested in this kind of thing. But if you're interested, know that it's there for you. In short, there is a wealth of material available to you on NaCCRA U. It may take a bit of digging, and the website is growing like Topsy, but if you take the time, you will be richly rewarded with wonderful new learning experience. Now, let's close with 2 short items, not from NaCCRA U, but from the companion parent website. First is NaCCRA in under 2 minutes, which I think will give you a good introduction to what we're all about and what we're accomplishing. And we'll follow that with a recording of Charlie Polk, our highly esteemed past president, who explains NaCCRA's historical accomplishments. Let's start with NaCCRA in under 2 minutes.
Welcome. This is NaCCRA in under 2 minutes. NaCCRA seeks to defend the communal life, the quality of life, and the peace of mind that you sought in moving to a continuing care retirement community. Or maybe you haven't made the move yet. We're here to help you decide if communal living is right for you. We in NaCCRA are people just like you, concerned for your well-being for the remainder of your life. In short, we are here to represent you and your community. Here are some of the matters that we're working on. First is a Bill of Rights. Residents want to be treated fairly and with respect. Second is contract clarity and simplification. Residents should be able to understand and agree with contracts they are asked to sign. Third are our model laws or standards. We believe residents should at least have the same financial protections as insurance policyholders and banking customers now do. Fourth are possibilities for resident ownership or governance. Those residents who wish to own their home or to participate in decisions affecting them should have means to do so. Fifth are concerns about reasonableness of monthly service fee increases. Fee increases should be reasonable and predictable relative to general economic conditions. Other items may come up from time to time, and NaCCRA is here for you to address those matters as they arise. That's NaCCRA in under 2 minutes. We hope you'll join us soon and get involved in our committees and activities.
Okay, I'm gonna leave that, Charlie, let you listen to it separately because it got a little garbled when it came in here onto this, and I think it's a little hard to listen to. So you could bring up the lights, Brian, if you want to. I hope that's helpful for you and get it. All you've got to do is get to the website to get started, and once you're there, things should follow from there. Are there any questions? Yes, sir.
Would there be room for state organizations to put their material in there as well?
Absolutely, absolutely. We can definitely add the state organizations. Whether we would put it on the administrative website or probably depends on the nature of the material. That would be a judgment. But we're welcoming contributions, and we want to hear from communities, and we want to get their material up here. It's a wonderful way for people to share across the country, find out what other people are doing, get ideas, and just make it all work well.
Jack?
Yes, sir.
The states are listed under leadership. Is there a way to make a link so that if someone is interested in moving to Virginia and they live in Seattle, we can click on the Virginia Resident Association and it'll click to the Virginia site?
Well, yes. The short answer is yes, we could do that. If you're moving from Seattle to Virginia, you want to be cautious because, as Gene Hurley will tell you, the state of Virginia has put out a warning that although they're nominally regulated under the Department of Corporations and the Bureau of Insurance, in fact, there's no licensure or regulation in the state of Virginia, and residents are urged to consult a financial planner and consult them before they get in. And I think Gene Hurley told us this morning that although a contract is all we get, and we pay a high price to get that contract, the providers don't necessarily feel bound about it. I'm very curious. How many of you have the electricity included in your contract? I know I do, I think most of us do, so you don't pay extra for it. What are the providers going to do when we start plugging our automobiles in and we have electric cars? Are they going to pay for us to drive everywhere? Somehow I don't think so. But you have a fee for it? But in your contract, I'll bet it said your electricity is included. How can they charge a fee for something they've already included in the price? Anything else?
Golf carts.
Pardon?
It's compared to the golf carts. We have a lot of golf carts for
Oh.
transportation around it.
So maybe they did anticipate
Yeah,
it.
they had a way.
Okay.